Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Esau McCaulley podcast. I'm your host, Esau McCaulley. We're joined by our producer, Mike.
Hey, Esau.
And we're also joined by author and former NFL and college football star, Matt Forte. Welcome to the podcast, Matt.
Hey, good to be back.
I thought it would be good because some people might not know a lot about your accomplishments. I thought it would be good to give Mike an opportunity. Also, he doesn't often get to talk enough in the pod. So I said it'll be part of your assignment to tell people a little bit about what Matt did in the NFL. So
I remember that last time.
Yeah,
you had that from the last episode.
Yeah,
you didn't let Mike talk that much.
No, listen, we've gotten a lot better.
He didn't even introduce you. He said Esau McCaulley podcast. He could have said featuring Mike. He's just kind of
wow. See, even he realized from the get-go, like, this podcast is missing something.
Okay, are you going to read?
I don't know. I kind of like this. We can let him keep going.
Tell him if there's no producer, there is no pod.
Oh my goodness!
Yes. Oh my goodness!
I feel like nobody comes on the podcast and defends me. But we're going to leave that to the side. You have some important information about our host today.
All right. So Matt Forte.
Our guest.
Yeah, Matt Forte. Maybe host soon. Maybe so.
There we go. All right. You're going to switch teams.
Matt Forte was drafted by the Chicago Bears in the second round of the 2008 NFL Draft.
Okay.
He was selected to the Pro Bowl 2 times.
2 times.
He has amassed over 14,000 total yards and 75 touchdowns. He is second on the all-time leading rusher list for the Chicago Bears.
And that's the team with historic. So he'd be behind Walter.
Only Walter Payton.
And would Gale Sayers be third? Somebody
like that.
Somebody back there. I don't look back.
Yeah. Someone not
only
as
look
good
forward.
Only look forward. Okay.
And he in 2014 set a single season NFL record for running backs with 102 receptions.
I thought that was really great for you to say that about him, and I thought that you could also follow that up with reading out my stats.
Okay, you want me? I feel like I'm getting set up.
Do you have my stats on there?
Oh, your personal stats.
I play football. You know this. I tried to Google myself to see if I could find my old football accomplishments. Apparently, there's no stats. But this is what I can remember. I'm pretty sure I made All-City 3 times. You don't have that? Do you have it written down anywhere?
I don't have that.
I made All-City 3 times, Huntsville, Alabama.
Okay.
I also made the All-North Alabama team. You have that written down?
Nope. I don't have that.
I made Academic All-District for Division III football.
Wow.
So I was the smartest of the football players.
Yeah.
It was true. I mean, I was in the smart lane.
Yeah, okay.
And I don't know. I tried to Google this once again. There's no record of it. I think I made all SCAC, whichever, you know what that is, right?
No.
Southern Collegiate Athletic Conference in Division III football.
I didn't know I was.
I made that.
Presence.
I think I made that at least 1 or 2 times.
Wow. Did they retire your jersey?
They didn't. They haven't retired it yet.
Oh, but
there's a
still
conversation.
Time. Okay.
Yeah, but I just thought that people should know. 'Cause I just wanted people to know that me and Matt have a lot in common. He played football. I played football.
Yeah.
He write books. I write books. And this is also true.
He made all
SCAC.
All something.
and I made all something as well.
Yeah, he made all pro. I made all SCAC. I don't understand what's the difference.
Basically the same thing.
And this is also true. This is also true, Matt, because I know his book is called Staying in the Game, Making the Most of Every Season. He talks about his life before and after football. This is also true. This is where we have more in common than he might even imagine. I get to the end of my senior year in Division III football, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm walking off the field. I'm not actually walking off the field. My coach told me this a couple of days later. He pulled me to the side. He said, Esau, I think you could keep playing.
Wow.
I think they got they had Arena League football at the time, but I wasn't good enough for Arena. I think it was like Arena 2. He said, you can make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 easy.
Big time.
That's easy. That's light money.
Yeah.
Playing football. And I said, Coach, I'm done.
Wow.
And I had to walk away just like Matt had to walk away. You see what I mean? So and I've thought about writing my book about how I transitioned from.
I think you're really good at a lot of things.
Okay.
And I think it's okay to say.
I thought that would really help us. I don't have my jersey. I have my jersey, Matt. Those of you who are watching online, his jersey. I have my jersey at home. I should put my jersey on the podcast.
Oh, that would just be sad.
So, Matt, do you feel like that our friendship is even closer since we now share this football career?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We all football players and athletes, no matter what division, what level, we see eye to eye because we have gone. You remember going through training camp,
yes,
right?
I do.
You remember going through those 2-a-day, well,
Two
they're not 2 days anymore.
Yeah,
but back then when we played, especially Huntsville, Alabama. You remember how hot and humid it was?
It was hot.
To get out there and to do all those things. We see eye to eye on this.
Basically.
Well, hang on.
This is something you don't understand.
I played junior tackle football in 6th and 7th grade.
Oh, okay. Man.
Hey.
There we go.
So I think all three of us.
Yeah, all three.
That's why I defended you, Mike.
Yeah,
that's why I defended
you knew.
You know?
So,
like, that guy definitely.
But Esau, you should have told that coach, you should have kind of, I think he was selling you short. Like, you can make tens of thousands of dollars.
Well, he said,
you'll probably destroy your body in football, but I mean, at least you're making 30 or 40.
He said you got to start off at Arena 2, but if you do well, you can go up to Arena 1.
Wow.
And then if you do well from there, who knows? It was the Kurt Warner era.
Yeah.
Those of you who don't watch a lot of football, Kurt Warner was in the Arena League, who then went pro, and then he won Super Bowl.
Groceries.
Yeah, he was bagging groceries. He's saying, like, you could be the next Kurt Warner.
Yeah.
And I said no. I had to walk away. So that's the reason why I thought that was important for us to know as relates to staying in the game. Now, believe it or not, this is actually this is your second book. I think, did you come on the podcast for the first book?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is your second book. When you were playing football, did you ever have dreams of like becoming a writer? Were you like in the huddle saying, I'm tired of this, I want to write books? Or did this just come up after your career was over?
No, there was no thought or even inkling that I would be an actual author and I would be writing a book or anything like that. But that just shows you the grace of God, man, and that, he would actually have a pathway that I'm not even thinking of that I ended up going towards that will hopefully inspire a lot of young, especially young men, but then also athletes and those who are in, pretty much any line of work, because as it says, how to be successful in every season of life. Everybody has different seasons of life. And whether you own a business or you are a professional athlete or a lawyer, doctor, whatever, there's ups and downs in life and everything. And how do we remain stable and be consistent in those things and deal with the hardships and the good times too, as well.
Did you, when you were a kid, did you ever like write for fun, or were you just like me? They felt like it was homework and you did it as quick as you could. Did you have any inkling?
When it came to English class, I definitely was not like, that's not my favorite subject.
Yeah.
And when it had homework and doing subjects and predicates and nouns, adjectives and verbs and like learning all that stuff, I was like, man, this is whack. Like, but I did find myself, I enjoyed to write poetry and like rap, like hip hop stuff.
Oh, you
so
got
like
bars.
I would make, I would, and don't ask me to freestyle. No. I said I would write it.
Okay. I think that's interesting because we sometimes put like athletes in a box. There were only, I keep saying we, I need to actually acknowledge there's a real athlete on it. But people think I'm actually tripping. But I'll say people tend to put athletes in a box to think that they only think about sports and they're only physically gifted and that they don't have these complex lives. And I'm not going to lie to you. I never would have imagined, because I used to watch Matt when he used to play for the Bears. I never thought that like he was at home writing poetry. So that is actually something that's interesting to me. Now, your first book was like a kid's book, and now you've gone to writing to adults. Which one was harder? I know the adult book is actually much longer, but as far as getting your head around the process of writing, what was more intimidating, the first book for kids or writing this for adults?
I think the thought process behind the children's book was more critical thinking, because you're dealing with children and you also want to do something that's impactful. And then that has a rhyming scheme to it. Yeah. So I wanted to make it seem...
I was noticing that when you said you did the poetry and your first kids book was rhyming. So I could see that was your first easy intro into your first transition. But now you're doing something that's much longer in this prose.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I would say that the other part that I would say is the audio book for recording. That was more difficult for the adult book.
Esau, you can relate to that, can't you? You've recorded an audio book before, and I recall it being a little hard on you.
Yeah, I thought that you were going to say something different. I thought that you were going to say that we both are professional athletes.
Oh, God, Esau.
So I never got paid. We both were athletes, and we both wrote children's books.
I thought you said
and then
you
wait, hold on.
Okay.
We both wrote books for adults. Like me and Matt are basically the same. I mean, basically the same. So
we both recorded the audio.
We both recorded audio. But I mean, like, what do you need me to do? I have a jersey. It's not retired, but I have one. Now, in this book, and obviously it's the reason why you're on the podcast, this is a Christian podcast, your faith plays a large role both in your life and in your narrative. And I know that as an athlete, you kind of develop over time. The gifts that are raw as a child, they mature and you eventually make it to the NFL and you kind of reach your prime. How would you describe your spiritual development? Does your spiritual development like track your athletic development, or were there different seasons in your life where you're closer and further from God as you kind of go throughout your life?
Yeah, I think the similarities between it was the growth process in both. The growth process athletically obviously was a lot faster. It came more natural to me because that's just how God has made me and designed me. But it took a longer time to realize what the purpose of the athletic ability was for. Not that it's just for running the ball or to be in the NFL and, you got fame, notoriety, and you make a lot of money. So that process is longer, and it honestly it lasts longer. When it comes to your talent, you play ball, and I played 10 years in the NFL, started at 7, so that's 25 years worth of football. And I'm 32 when I retired, so that's like a really quick it's like a stick of dynamite. And then as you transition out of football, you realize, or pro sports or whatever profession you're in, you realize like, man, I am not what I did, or I'm not what I do. I'm more than that. And God has created me for more than that. So then it really pushes you towards seeing and seeking Him rather than just the short-sightedness of your abilities, your own physical abilities.
So you talked a lot about, like you said there was 25 years of your life where sports were at the center of what you did. You retired by the age of 32. Your spiritual development, were they like the key moments where you said, I took a step forward in my faith? Were they always were they related to what was going on with you athletically? Like, did something happen on the field that brought you closer to God, or frustration? Or was your spiritual life developing completely detached from what was happening to you career-wise?
The most spiritual growth I've ever had was when football was removed. When it was not necessarily taken away, but when I stepped away from that, the game, which I needed to, just based off of the physicality of the sport and the deterioration of everything, kind of at some point starts to break down. But the most growth came when that was removed, which I think is something that is good to understand. In life, there are good things, but when it becomes the center of what you do, allow God to remove that so that you can actually grow more towards Him, and then better, actually you'll understand and have more peace, and better things will come along, because I enjoy life more now than the rigorous kind of schedule and all the pain and the suffering and stuff like that pro football kind of entails, because it's the job that you do.
Yeah, it's interesting because you have the book is called Stay in the Game, making the most of every season. But I know at the heart of it is like this thing that you talked about. It's like what you learned from life during football that has been useful after football. Now, for someone whose identity was wrapped up in your accomplishment as an athlete, what was it like when, like, that first Sunday after the season, when the football, like the season starts, after you retired, the season starts, there's crowds everywhere and you're at home. What was that like emotionally and spiritually for you? Was that hard?
See, God is so gracious that He allowed me to have enough of football, enough of professional football, enough of the crowds, enough of people praising you and glorifying you essentially, or idolizing you, that I didn't desire that anymore. Okay. And so when I left the game, I could step away from the crowds and them chanting your name and all that stuff, and not be like, oh man, I missed that, or I want that. And one of my good friends who is a lyricist, I think maybe, I know you've had Lecrae on, but you got to get KB on. You got to get KB on.
I've been on KB's podcast. We've tried to schedule him. Maybe we'll tag him in the podcast. Yeah. We are going to have KB on. I love KB.
Yeah. But he was saying that like the notoriety and fame and stuff like that it's like cologne. it smells good on you, but you're not supposed to drink it. And I'm gonna be honest, I talk about it in the book too. People don't really transition out well from professional sports. It's interesting. It should be a study on it, because when guys play in college and they don't necessarily make the NFL, they often do better. They go and they have a job doing whatever it is they may have majored in school, or they find another path, or they go into coaching.
Yeah.
And they always seem to find themselves landing on their feet. When guys play in the NFL, sometimes they can play 10 plus years or 7 plus years.
Yeah.
The average is 3. The average for running backs is less than 3. It's like 2.5. Most of those guys transition out of sport, and that's when failure hits.
Yeah.
85% go broke 3 years out of football. 80+% are divorced after football or after sport. And it's like, okay, what's the reason behind this? It's because identity, as you were talking about, your identity is wrapped up in what it is you were doing. So to be able to transition out, you have to, while playing, realize that your identity is not in the game and place it in something that's eternal.
That's one of the things that I think that makes this book translatable to people, because I don't know if you know this, even though me and you are both, serious athletes, most people won't have a whole career that they had to then transition from and find purpose after that. That's not necessarily the universal struggle. But the idea that when we wrap ourselves in our accomplishments and those accomplishments become our identity, and they're not sufficient to carry us through life, and that's the place where I feel like, oh yeah, I think people who don't play sports, who never play sports, can learn a lot from the book. Is that how you expect that book to translate? Just like the idea of identity and purpose and meaning?
Yeah, because it's for that, your identity, your purpose in life, all of that is for everybody, no matter if you're an athlete or not, right? And it does and then when it comes to the relatableness, when you're an athlete, there's transferable assets that you possess because of sport that transfers over into real life.
Can you give us a couple of examples? Yeah.
The discipline that it takes to be great at something, the sacrifice that you have to put in. A lot of times, in this kind of microwave culture, people look at the finished product and they're like, I want to be that. But there's no effort to that or sacrifice that's put in to actually get it. So, those type of things that you learn from sport, or particularly football, like toughness, and not complaining about certain things. Like a lot of stuff is not going to go your way.
You said you learn how not to complain by being a professional athlete.
Yeah.
You can't complain about stuff.
Okay.
Esau,
I'm sorry.
I just, I feel like maybe I'm seeing something here.
Okay.
Is that where we're different?
That might be where you're different.
Boom, shots
maybe
fired.
That's
Shots
where the
fired.
difference
Mike,
is. You didn't
Mike
quite make that professional leap, because
he fired the shots on you, Esau.
Did you know diversity is woven into the tapestry of Scripture? From Genesis to Revelation, God reveals his love and compassion for all people. Written by Esau McCaulley, God's Colorful Kingdom Storybook Bible celebrates God's story of grace and redemption by revealing his intentional design for a multi-ethnic, multicultural church that cares for the vulnerable. With vivid illustrations, sweeping scenes, and fresh perspectives, this one-of-a-kind storybook Bible invites children to see the beauty of God's diverse family in powerful, inspiring ways. Featuring stories from both the Old and New Testaments, God's Colorful Kingdom Storybook Bible is perfect for families of all backgrounds eager to explore God's heart for diversity, justice, and compassion. God's Colorful Kingdom Storybook Bible is available online or at your favorite local bookstore. Order your copy today.
Zones field got him doing football numbers, only average grown. He was acting grown.
So
Are interesting.
one of the things that I've noticed about the Bears in particular, because it's one of these historic franchises that have such a long legacy in the NFL, and I think that, I've gone to a Bears game, and I think it's actually relatively unique, and maybe because the team has been through kind of a rough period of time. Is that fair to say? We've been through a rough patch for the Bears, and so
That's a big patch.
I was going to say a patch.
I'm trying to be diplomatic.
I mean, maybe gap.
Yeah, gap.
You know?
Like a season, an era. But one of the things I thought has been really interesting is that if you go to a Bears game now, you don't see as many jerseys from the current players. You see a lot of historic players. And so when I went to the Bears game, I saw Matt Forte, I saw like Dick Buckus, I saw like Walter Payton. And so I still see people walking around with your jersey on. And so I know that you said, hey, like it's my meaning and my purpose isn't, in football, and then my purpose is to glorify God. I'm just wondering, how do you process that as a Christian and not allow that to get into your ego? Because if I was walking around and I saw people with my jersey on, I'm just wondering how that would affect me spiritually. So how do you maintain kind of a healthy spiritual life, despite the fact that when you go places, you're recognized that people they literally have your gear? And so how do you deal with that as a Christian?
Perspective. It's all perspective, man. Like, I understand that I did not create myself. I understand that I did not give myself this talent. I understand that I was given the grace to be able to develop the talent that God has given me. So when it's all said and done, all the accomplishments that make you, let's say, quote unquote, a legend, or for a historic team.
It's not quote unquote. I'm
Bears.
sorry. I hate to interrupt you. It's not quote unquote. You're the second all-time leading rusher of the Bears, and you broke records. Yeah. It's actually a legend. I get it. You're doing the Christian thing, but I don't. No, it ain't my stats.
That's just who I am.
It ain't my stats, so I can just say it. Yeah, like it's actually a legend. Yeah, but go ahead.
That's just who I am. Yeah. I'm never the dude that's like I'm a toot my own horn like the loudest or nothing like that, because I just understand like where it comes from.
Yeah.
And so when you have a perspective that's different that way, when you have that kind of eternal perspective where I know that none of this would have been able to be accomplished without God, right?
Yeah.
So then if, you see people with your jersey on and things that can allow pride to step in, I have a shield up that blocks it, a shield of faith that blocks it, because I realized that it was only the ability to be accomplished by God.
So you're saying when we started the podcast and we had somebody else read your stats, and I responded by reading my own stats. I was not learning. I was not getting the lesson.
I think the more and more this interview goes on, the more we see the big difference between you two.
We used to be in a small group together, so Matt was always the more spiritual one. So let me ask you this though: you had this thing, you had this idea in the book that it struck me, because you talked about redefining greatness after success. So can you elaborate? Like, how do you redefine greatness after success? What does that even mean? Like, if you've achieved all of these things, what should be our new definition of success if we've actually accomplished all of the things that we might have thought, that the world might have said we should care about?
Yeah, success should look different. And I think we need to start redefining it. We celebrate a lot of things that are kind of just opportunities. When you get drafted, you haven't done a thing yet, but it's the biggest celebration. People patting you on your back. You might go out and get cut, but people are going to celebrate that. Like, that's an opportunity for something else, to create something else. So success looks differently in the realm of the earth and eternity. Like, there's something called significance. There's a lot of successful people that have no significance at all, or no influence on other people besides a little small niche called NFL football. But if I change your life in some sort of way, if I sacrifice something and maybe I paid for you to go to school and you graduated and that led to you a different career, or maybe, maybe something happened where you were having a really bad day and I said something encouraging and it was a turning point in your life, or something I've done personally that affected you. You won't have to Google that. You will always know and remember that, and it will live with you forever. So the only thing that really lasts is the stuff that you do that benefit other people.
This sounds like, I was thinking of the passage in the Bible, the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. Basically, you're talking about this deeply Christian idea that we don't find meaning and purpose from accumulating glory and honor and resources for ourselves, but to take the things that we have and give them away. And the more talent and gifting that you have, that just expands the opportunity for you to do that kind of good in the world. So I hope that y'all do take not a second, because you need more than a second to read it. Hope that y'all do take a moment to really delve deep into this book and understand some of the lessons and real spiritual insights that are in there. Now, part of this book is obviously for other people. I mean, for just like anybody. But you've had, and I know this about you, a distinctive ministry to professional athletes. Can you say a little bit about what you try to do for them and how they receive the stuff that, you tried to tell them and teach them?
Yeah, there's some good stuff in there, specifically in the epilogue where I'm addressing specifically like college and pro athletes.
Yeah.
Because of I know the struggles that they face. I've been there, lived the life, made all the failures. And that's what I really wanted to have identified in that, because people look at you from the outside in, man, that's a successful dude.
Yeah.
He did this and did that on the field and all that. But there are off the field moments where, who wants to be a public success, but a private failure? I want to talk to these guys and girls about how to live within purpose within the sport, not like having to wait till you fail and like get out of the game and then realize it, but to be at your most influential and your most, notableness, be able to use that as a lever, as a catalyst, I would say, for your purpose, so that, you're not being used, so to speak, you're being utilized in a way that really, really, really will impact not only other people or yourself or your family, but like culture. There's a shift. If you've seen, like, it started with college football last year. All these kids like baptizing kids on campus.
I've seen this.
I was just going to ask about
movement.
this because there's this rise in headlines. There's a bunch of studies showing that Gen Z, these younger people, are more interested in faith. And I'm just wondering, in your experience working with these younger athletes, have you seen anecdotally, but in your experience, a noticeable uptick in the last couple of years of interest towards faith among some of these young athletes?
Yeah, absolutely. In a world full of faith talks.
Yeah,
the truthfulness of faith talks, man. I'm telling you, like the authenticity of of God's word and those who live it and like display it, it is clear as day when it's real. And I think the younger generations desire that. They may, sometimes people talk about they don't want structure or, rules and things, but they actually really seek those things in an authentic way that will benefit them. And I think that's what we see on a daily basis now.
I've always wondered about this. It might be a silly question, but I've had, we know Charlie, who my former pastor, 'cause I do church stuff now, but I think you still go to Progressive. And
he's still my pastor.
He's still my pastor too. I shouldn't even lie. I call him if I need something. But he's gone and he's spoken to different groups of NFL athletes. And I've had a couple of other friends of mine who've gone and spoken to professional athletes, and they've given these kind of talks. And I know the answer to this question, but I want to ask it anyway. Is it harder? I guess is the delivery of the gospel the same, to an athlete when you go and give like a talk to a bunch of professionals, or there's some unique ways that people have to address you all as athletes? I can think about if I'm giving a talk to a bunch like my church, I can kind of have some idea of what their life is like, and I can have some idea of the kind of experiences, but the NFL and the NBA and these things seem so different. I wouldn't even know how to initially connect with this commonality with these people. And so is there a unique way that the gospel is presented, or are there ways that you feel like is effective in talking about Jesus to professional athletes?
No, it's harder.
Yeah.
And it has to be a unique approach. You have to be anointed like Charlie Dates is to preach to really, get the messaging across safely, or not safely, but like,
what is it you think that is effective? Is it just being direct, or is it just rhetorical? Like, what do you think is?
I think you have to craft it in a way that is identifiable and relatable to them, because their life is so different. A lot of people from the outside in, like, man, you make millions of dollars and you play a game. Like, what problems and troubles could you have? Like, think about it.
Yeah.
If the enemy's job is to steal, kill, and destroy, it's not always bringing about negative things. It could be comfortability.
Yeah.
It could be ease of life. Because when you think about the 1%, like to make it to the NFL or any pro sport, you're less than 0.5% more likely to make that when it comes to the number from Little League to high school to college when it starts to break it down. So you're literally in a space that not many people make it to. So it's like an elite class, not to be like, oh, it's elite people or nothing like that, but it's a small window of people. But then you give them notoriety and fame and money and access to anything. It's funny when you become a superstar, so to speak, people give you stuff for free. Even though you got the money to buy it, they give you a lot of free stuff. And so when it comes to speaking to that group, they'll sit back and say, well, why do I need God? Like I got all of this.
Yeah.
What do I need God for? And you have to hit the nail on the head and really hammer it down with the truth to let them know that, man, it don't matter whether you got $1 billion or you're broke. Like your soul needs to be saved. Like you need God's word in your life because it's the only thing that lasts.
I'm hoping I never get an invitation. Because I feel like
you're up next.
it feels like, that's what I mean. It feels very, very intimidating. Not because I don't believe that God is good. It feels like it's like when you do high school. I'm not calling NFL players high school ministry, but it takes a lot of confidence to stand in front of high school students because their initial thing is hostility, and then you got to and they're insecure because they don't want to show vulnerability. So you have to be confident that, you know what, I'm indifferent to your indifference. And I'm going to preach this message. You can kind of see over time, they lean in, they relax. You can kind of see it in their bodies. But there's that moment where like almost the emotion of their disinterest will push you away. And so I can imagine that walking into that room and speaking to professional athletes is probably intimidating. And maybe having someone like you who's actually done all of these things gives you an instant credibility that other people might have. And that's probably why you're effective in the ministry that you do.
Yeah, it's helpful. It's helpful to be able to identify with them, and at the same time, as a human being, like you have your own struggles.
Yeah,
like you have your anxiousness and doubts and fear that you have to overcome with faith to be able to do it. Because there could be this notion of like I've never been a big on stage like spotlight type of guy. Even when I played ball, like I could go out there and I didn't have to talk about what I was going to do. I just do it on the field. But then when you put this, and then the spotlight's on you no matter what, but I'm just doing what I do. Now, when you go on stage, the spotlight's on you and you have to speak. Like I never was somebody who was like, I want to be a speaker. I want to, craft messages that change people's lives and do all these things. You really have to, get out of your own way and say like, the Lord is going to have to use me in this because I don't prefer doing that. And actually, if you would have asked me a long time ago, like even when I was playing, I was like, man, you'll never see me on. Like I'm gonna go to chapel service, I'm gonna go to church, and I'm gonna attend the conferences and things, and I'm gonna receive what's being given out that the Lord is the seeds that are being planted. But man, I'm not getting on stage. I'm not doing all that stuff. Well, but God is. Always keep, when you say you're not going to do something, He's going to call you to do it.
So we have this thing, especially we ask our authors, I call it, I was in my bag. So I know authors say, I love the entire book and I'm just happy God blessed me to do this. But I think that everybody who's writing a book, there's a chapter or a story that like was, when they wrote it, they felt like, I can't wait for people to read this particular chapter in the book because I know it's going to bless people. So I know the whole book is good, but if you had to say which chapter has Matt's like heart, like I'm going to get him with this one. Is there a chapter in the book that you think is your favorite?
I would say I was in my bag in the beginning when I was telling how I initially started playing football and how the first practice I got destroyed.
Yeah.
And yet it led to, a love for the sport that I went out there. I know what I was doing. I got crushed. Yeah. And that could have ended, which I've ended a lot of Little League careers myself of friends. Like I've seen it. I've seen it. Like I've seen the love for the sport drain from someone's face. and then they walk off the field like, here's my pass. Like, I don't want to play no more.
I would tell you when I knew I wasn't going to the NFL, I was in college. I was in high school and I was being recruited, and I was going to like a recruiting visit. And at the time, Jamal Lewis was the running back for the Tennessee Volunteers at the time. And I remember I was across the street, and Jamal Lewis was on the other side of the street, and my arm was so big. I could read his tattoo from across the street. And he was a freshman and I was a senior. And I was like, this dude was in high school a year ago. I know I could have never tackled him in the mid. I said, I need to hit the books. I saw it and I said, you know what? I think college is as far as I'm going to go. So I know this means the end of somebody's career. Anyways, I remember seeing Jamal Lewis and it was just like, no, I'm not going.
Nah, hey, that's a big dude. That was a big running back.
Yeah,
though.
he was like that. He was like that at 19. Anyways, so what I wanted people. Did you finish your point? You just caught me when you started talking about ending careers, but you were talking about
I'd say the beginning of the book, even in the middle of the book where I talk about a lot of personal stuff. Yeah. Because, people look at you and they only see success and they see the good stuff. And then at the end of the book where I'm addressing people and challenging them, individually to really, lean into calling and purpose when it comes to your life.
Yeah. Well, I want to encourage everybody to go pick up a copy of Stay in the Game, Making the Most of Every Season, Matt Forte. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And I also know that you host a podcast called Sports Spectrum, where you deal with the intersection of sports and life. And since now we share some of your football career, if you want to hear about my life in Division III football, I'm going to volunteer to come on your podcast.
I think he's busy. I think he's busy. I think they're booked up.
I gotta say, I gotta talk to my producer.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I think Division III football is an untapped market, so I'm just gonna say that.
His producer has already talked to me, and they're booked for a long time.
Okay, then. Thank you for coming on the podcast anyway, Matt.
No, thank you guys.
Please like and subscribe to this video if you want to see me, Mike, and the rest of the team continue to think through Christianity and popular culture.